What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing a one-round mock draft, no trades, super exciting. If you guys are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Below my face is my board. It is based off of my all-22 grades, so if you see a star next to someone's name, it means that I am still evaluating them, and I believe they are going to be going down from their preseason grade. Of course, I have been able to watch these guys. It's just I only give my grades from all 22 tape evaluations. And then below that are all the great ways to get involved in the community. Just go to Linktree. You get everything there, including our sponsor, UnderDog Fantasy. If you are not new, you guys also understand that I am still under concussion protocol. I ended up getting in a car accident this past week, and still dealing with some pain from that. But this is my first foray back into decision making rather than just giving feedback on certain things. So the support and love that you guys have given me has been fantastic. Let's get into this. And obviously, if I have to do this in a couple takes, that's going to be what it is. My neurologist said, do what you can. Be honest with yourself. So we're going to be testing this out. That's why I'm not doing a 2-round mock draft. I always do 2. But again, still, that's why I don't have my face light on and then all that other stuff. So let's get into this, though. Let's have a good time. First off, by the way, if you guys notice anything, they changed Travis Hunter's designation to wide receiver. So, I mean, this is literally this live reaction, but Jalen Milroe should not be the 5th ranked player. I love Trevor Sikkema. I do appreciate the fact that he has the balls to do what he thinks is best. I still have the right to disagree. But at number 1 for the Patriots, it's going to be left tackle. It's going to be edge rusher. Those are the positions that you hone in on, or you could go best player available. Again, there's no trades in this. I'll try to get that out this week with a trades mock draft. But again, we're going to see how things go today. Looking at the left tackles, though, I mean, Josh Simmons, if he were healthy, I would say should be the pick here. But he's out for the year. It's going to be, honestly, if you guys want to trade down, a great trade down candidate. Will Campbell, by far, is the best left tackle in the class, in my opinion. Kelvin Banks has been doing a phenomenal job overall. I really can't crap on him. But I personally do have some concerns over his overall game. Same thing with Will to a certain degree, but he ended up having 2 losses to a 280-pound edge rusher in Landon Jackson this past week, and he ended up actually, those were early in the game. He ended up adjusting and playing very well. So I do love that about him. If we're not able to move out of this spot, which that's the nature of this mock draft, we're not doing trades because that's for another video, we're going to go after Will Campbell. At pick number 2 for the Carolina Panthers, I think you might have to go Travis Hunter here just based on how dynamic of a player he is. That being said, I don't know if many people will agree with me in this category. People love Travis Hunter for the overall player he is, right? He's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong. You see where he is on my board. I love him to death. But he isn't the same wide receiver caliber as both Marvin Harrison as well as Malik Neighbors. To me, I don't think he's in that category. But I do think he is in that Rome Odunze category. So number 2 overall feels a little bit of a stretch for me. I think that it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, especially in this class specifically, that's much weaker, for us to at least evaluate Travis Hunter as the number 2 overall pick. However, I do think edge rusher is a position this team's been pretty much, Frankensteining together, putting a lot of, just not doing necessarily the best overall in terms of actually solidifying for the long run. And Nick Scorton has been doing better and better since the beginning of his tenure there at Texas A&M. I think that he is the best option for the Panthers because in the second round, I cannot guarantee that you're actually going to get a starting quality edge rusher. I can almost guarantee you'll get a starting quality receiver because this class has a lot of different styles of receiver, and not many teams are necessarily overly desperate to be able to fill those exact positions. So I'm going to go after Nick Scorton here. I think he is the best edge rusher in the class outside of Jalen Walker, but also this team likes to be able to have a more sizable edge to be able to solidify the boundary. Pick number 3 for the Browns. A lot of people are going to be saying go after a quarterback here, and I respect you for that. However, I do want to bring this up. Do you think any of these quarterbacks are worth a top 5 pick? Personally, for me, I don't. And that's with Shedeur Sanders massively rising up my list. Again, I always want to emphasize before he ever took a snap at Colorado, he was my QB5 above guys even like J.J. McCarthy. So, there's certain aspects of his game that I still am not the biggest fan of. But, regardless of the fact, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the class. Some people say he's undisputed the best quarterback in the class. And for those people, I'm not going to overly disagree with you. I think it's very, very close. But there's a lot of different styles of quarterback in this class, and what you can get in the second round, right? Think about even if you end up with Drew Loar, who I love to death, in the second round. I think that's far more valuable if you can get a player like Travis Hunter here to replace Elijah Moore, to replace what you've now lost in Amari Cooper. I think that's going to be far better return on investment. And then let's just say a Shedeur Sanders slips because of maybe a lack of top-end athleticism or top-end arm strength, which again, I think he is the best processor in the class. That should end up weighing a little bit heavier than maybe those other traits. Do your own evaluations, but theoretically he could slip. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Then you could pair those two up. So I think there's just a far higher likelihood that we see Travis Hunter go rather than a quarterback and Shedeur Sanders go. Don't force a position that you necessarily won't like. I want to be able to take a little bit of time to discuss the value of quarterback and why everyone's like, hey, they need a quarterback, they need to go at round 1. Like, if you get a player who genuinely is not a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, you are going to have to replace that position again. Even top 15 quarterbacks are still on the chopping block if you're not top 10. But for the general rule, if you are not in the top 20, your team's going to be looking for a quarterback. Do you think Jalen Milroe is a top 20 quarterback in the NFL? If your answer is yes, then you can consider him round 1. Again, there's obviously certain limitations to that. If all the quarterbacks in the NFL are really, really talented, yes, it shifts. But think about the 20th best quarterback in the NFL. Hell, you could even toss Kirk Cousins in there. They already have a contingency plan for him. And Kirk Cousins is a damn good quarterback. So, if you start really thinking about how the NFL will evaluate these quarterbacks, one of the few positions that provides damn near no value if they are not a true starter or almost a guaranteed starter in a year or two is that quarterback position. So if you want to value return on investment, do you think Jalen Milroe is better than Will Levis? I don't know. I don't think so. And I am not the biggest Will Levis fan. I like Will Levis a lot. So I do want to bring that up. I think it's very crucial for us to understand that, you need to understand if you're going to be picking in the first round, don't pick a quarterback that you're going to want to take another quarterback in a year or two from now. If you really just are really dead set on taking a QB, might be good to just wait and see what falls to you, because you might as well get great players that you're not going to want to replace in a couple of years. But for the Titans, I'm going to go Will Johnson here. Snead's actually been pretty cheeks overall. It's really saddening because I actually really liked him. But regardless of that, you do need to continue boosting your secondary. And yes, offensive tackle is a position I go very, very often. The right tackles in this class have slipped, and they're not necessarily as talented as what we thought. I do think day 2 of this class has a lot of really good talents. Cam Williams, I think he should return. He had some struggles this past game. But, you even look at Emory Jones. He allowed 9 pressures a week ago. Not great. Blake Miller has his own strength limitations. Jonas Avenia, a lot of people think is a guard. Armand Membu could be a guard. Johnny Cornelius, extremely inconsistent. So, bottom line, day 2 of this class where you want to take swings on guys, go for it. Top end of the draft, might need to tone it back a little bit. But for the Jets at pick number 5, this is a team I'm going to go a crazy route here, in my opinion. And I know you guys will support it because a lot of you guys have brought up defensive interior as a position the Jets should look at. Mason Graham, he's pretty much unblockable in terms of being a pass rusher. He started out the year with 5% pretty much, I believe, in both of these categories. And look at where he's gotten to. It's very tough to have a slow start like that and then end up really being able to just progress week after week. And even though he's maybe not on my all-stars of the week list, he is still on my winners of the week damn near every single week. And Mason Graham paired up with Quinn Williams is going to be a fantastic duo. At pick number 6 for the New Orleans Saints, you could absolutely talk about quarterback, but again, is Jalen Milroe a better talent than Spencer Rattler? Maybe. Will he get you more wins than Spencer Rattler? Maybe. And when I say maybe, that to me doesn't scream confidence in me taking him at 6th overall. Just keep that in mind. So, for the Saints, I believe that the best areas to address, edge, someone like Abdul Carter, right up their alley. He's been getting better and better each week in terms of his pass rush win rate. But, even the run stopping ability has been far better than what we even thought. Definitely think that the Saints could be going for someone who is more so air quotes developmental like that, even though he's developed far faster than anyone could have believed. Now you look at the receiving room. Teteroa, perfect for the system, but you don't necessarily need to go that route. I honestly think you should go after the best defensive player here. And the best defensive player to me is Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks is just, he's a dog. That's the bottom line to it. He is probably one of the best defensive backs that I've studied. He's super versatile. I think his top end speed is a little bit over exaggerated, hence why he is at number 12 on my board. And Nicky Monwari is going to be number 11. But Nick is just a freak at his position athletically. Malachi is someone who has all the IQ in the world, the flexibility that you're looking for. And this is something that is a very Saints-y pick. I trade back when we do have trades, but I do think Malachi Starks is one of those safeties I need to start pushing higher and higher. At pick number 7 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think offensive line is certainly key for this team. When you do look at the options, though, it is very slim. Like Kelvin Banks, people do believe possibly is a guard. He's not going to shake those allegations, air quotes. So certainly you could be addressing corner here as well. I don't think Ben Morrison's coming out. I'm going to be discounting him and Siobhan Rivell for return. To be fair, actually, Siobhan can actually be included in this, but because he is a little bit older and he'll be healed up, I believe, by the Senior Bowl, so he could even come out for that. But Ben Morrison's a true junior. He'll probably return to school. So it is a pretty weak corner class in a class that I thought was going to be stronger. It is unfortunate for that aspect. But the Jaguars, I think you could even look at that receiving room, right? You can get Isaiah Bond to pair up with Brian Thomas for the future. I don't think that's out of the question. But you could also, again, look at that offensive line group. You look at Josh Simmons. He'll be healthy by the season. He will. So that will be something that's a big plus. Yeah, he had a sucker game versus Oregon, but honestly, I think he honestly did pretty fine. So I'll actually look at Kelvin Banks here. We'll go Kelvin Banks because that flexibility, you get to at least choose where he's going to succeed at. And he's a damn good player. Very, very, very mobile at the frame he is and the play style he is. Not necessarily mobile overall in comparison to the very athletic tackles, but I love the fact that his foundation is one of excellence and a lot of power, which I think will help out both the pass as well as the run game. At pick number 8 for the Vegas Raiders, I'm personally, again, guys, I want to emphasize this. I'm going to be going quarterback here with Cam Ward because Cam Ward's coming off his hottest week. Ended up turnover play, like these 2 games, VT and Cal, both of them had 3 turnover-worthy plays, and I think he had 2 the entire year besides that. He only had 1 versus Louisville, and he had a very, very, very dominant game. That's a big way to bounce back. I love seeing that from him because I was having legit questions over his processor here. He's the only quarterback right now that is giving first-round upside vibes outside of Milroe because Milroe in a Dable system, I think, could be mitigated with his issues. But even that, you're going after the athleticism. With Ward, you're going after the arm talent. And so I will be going Cam Ward. I will be. Again, you also talk about Shedeur there. Yeah, there's some connections there. But Cam Ward brings the athleticism and that upside in terms of the arm talent that necessarily isn't there with Shedeur. I love Shedeur in terms of what he can bring as just, more of that pocket style passer. But there are some definite things to clean up in his game. At pick number 9, though, for the New York Giants, it is Milroe or it's Shedeur. I think if you look at how this team is built, to be fair, I'd honestly almost roll the dice on a running back at this point. There's just no guarantee on those QBs being better than Daniel Jones, and there's no guarantee on it. Again, there's no guarantee on any of these players. But Ashton Genty is special. I don't think he can get out of the top 10. Talk about 98.5 rushing grade, but 10 yards per carry when he, that's off a down week in terms of yards per carry. Over 1,000 yards, 10 yards per carry. That's just ridiculous. He belongs in the top 10. And not only that, he belongs in the top 5. I was debating taking him here for the Browns. It just depends on the draft order. Quarterback is a position you definitely need to target. I would trade up to the end of the first for one. Don't take one here. If you're not going to get the upside of Cam Ward, get the guarantee in Ashton Genty. Pick number 10 for the Miami Dolphins. I know it's going to piss people off. I know it's going to be the one pick that people continue hooting and hollering about. But, again, you can't please everybody. And there is 7 rounds. Remember that. There's 7 rounds. For the Dolphins, Tua says he wants to come back. We'll believe him. Other positions this team can certainly look at. Defensive interior-wise, Kenneth Grant's been heating up as well. I love the fact that, again, this is somebody who percentile-wise was in the, like, near the bottom quartile and is now close to the upper quartile in everything. And he has a great motor. He's someone who can go much higher than expected because of the fact that, you know, he is someone who's continuing to progress and continuing to do better and better and better. This is just an organization at the moment that does not prioritize offensive line. I think they should, but, you know, I want to start pushing some of these defensive interior players that are difference makers higher. You know, Braden Fisk, who also was one of those guys, high motor, quick wins, great athleticism. That's a lot more, that's very similar to Kenneth Grant in terms of play style, but Kenneth Grant brings the size as well. At pick number 11, speaking of Braden Fisk, we have the Los Angeles Rams, and this is a team that I believe has the balls to go after someone who's going to be out for a season-ending injury. That's going to be Josh Simmons out of the Ohio State University. He was my number 3 player coming into the year, or actually, no, excuse me, not coming into the year. Number 3 player going into that Oregon game before he got hurt for the year. But I think that a blue chip graded tackle, he could end up being a guard, but blue chip graded tackle, even when out for the year, deserves top 15 consideration. Pick number 12, we got the Arizona Cardinals here, and Kenneth Grant would have been my draft darling for him. However, we get Abdul Carter instead, and I think that is perfectly fine. Pick number 13 for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's another team that needs to look at that edge rushing crew. And you got Mikael Williams coming off his best game. But I really do want to highlight Princey Umanmielen because, I mean, don't look at that 59.4. He played 1 rep in that game. You know, just consistent domination at a very, very, very respectable size. 255, but he actually plays like he's 265. A lot of power to his game, great bend, very physical as well. Just a very well-balanced player. He belongs in the top 15, so I'm going to continue giving him the love that he deserves. At pick 14 for the San Francisco 49ers, probably where I would have landed Princey Umanmielen. I do think this is a spot where they could end up taking Cam Williams and then developing him. He's just a lot of untapped potential that would work in this system. He moves well. He's a little heavy on the foot, but he's just super duper raw. I highly doubt he comes out, but this is one of those teams that I still think would be willing to take the air quotes reach on Cam Williams because you have the great mentorship there and you have a very clear path to success. At pick 15 for the Dallas Cowboys, you know, wide receiver, probably going to be the route that I prefer. Running back, I just don't think there's an RB2 in this class that's worth a first-round pick based on, you know, I know Quinshawn got his hand repaired, so there's some issues as to, there's a reason why he didn't perform very well versus Oregon, but you got to be very, very, very special, in my opinion, to be worth a first-round pick as a running back. For the Cowboys, though, wide receiver is going to be key. I actually like the idea of T-Mac pairing up. I mean, Isaiah Bond brings a lot of juice to the table, but go after, I think his name's Isaiah Noel. Do they have him in here? He's an Iowa State kid. Pairs up with Jaden Higgins. Like, do they have him? Oh, they don't. So, Jaden Higgins' running mate. I think it might be Jalen Knoll. Jalen Knoll, yeah. He would be a really, like, you'd be your, pretty much your value version. And I'd prefer to go after T-Mac and go after Knoll. What you could do if you wanted to big brain it is, you know, continue trading back or trade up later on and then end up getting Jaden Higgins as well as Knoll and have a pairing like that. But no need to big brain it here. Tetairoa McMillan's a great compliment for CeeDee Lamb. Get yourself a YOLO target there for Dak. Pick number 16 for the Denver Broncos. I've been a sucker for Luther Burden to the squad, and I'm pretty much dead set on it. You know, he's been relatively disappointing so far this year, and that sucks. But after the catch, he has not been. And the role that he would have in this offense, he would not be disappointing. So I'm going to go after Luther Burden out of Missouri. Pick number 17 for the Atlanta Falcons. It's edge rusher or wide receiver. And I prefer to look at those edge rushers for the time being. A lot of really solid options. And I don't think Josiah Stewart should be like completely left out of this equation. He's a little bit on the lighter side, but he has a 28% pass rush win rate. After, like, last week it was 33.3, which is ridiculous. But regardless, you have some very talented edge rushers that are available here that might not be later on. I do love James Pierce. He's coming off an amazing 9-pressure game versus Bama. And I always said that he was more valuable as a run defender than people gave him credit for. I think this is where I feel comfortable taking him. Let's go James Pierce out of Tennessee. Pick number 18 for the Eagles. This would have been a spot where I would have went James Pierce. However, I think that Howie has the balls to go after someone. He's not a linebacker. He is an edge rusher coming off a 7 pressure, 6 defensive stop week. Jalen Walker, edge out of Georgia. I don't think the tight ends have necessarily separated themselves enough compared to how quality these edge rushers are in a year where a lot of teams are looking at edge. Pick number 19 for the Seahawks. I remember I was talking about right tackle. Right tackle. Not many white tackles in this class. They're at least good. So we don't even have to worry about that slip up. But right tackle wise, you can go after Ursery here. He could end up being that right guard. And honestly, it wouldn't be a horrible decision. That's actually where I'm starting to lean. I could use Ursery and just kind of move him to that, to the right tackle spot, because he's just continued to develop and has shown the ability to get better and better and better. I'm actually going to rock it. Let's go for it. Arianti Ursery going to the Seahawks. Pick number 20 for the Colts. Again, Ben Morrison is being considered out of this mock draft because he's so young and, well, he's out for the year with a hip injury. So corner is still possible. You could go Siobhan Revell because this is going to be the change up in this one. He's out for the year with a torn ACL, but he's someone who probably will be coming back he will probably be coming out, excuse me. I do think this is where you could start looking at Colson Lovell and Tyler Warren here. And Tyler Warren, I think, fits a little bit better. But regardless of the fact, I do think that this team, I don't know, Jim. I sound like Tony Romo, huh? Defensive back is still on the table. This is a very difficult pick. I will be honest. Without Ben Morrison being the instant shoe-in, this is a difficult pick. I do think that Siobhan Revell will be the guy here. Even though coming off an ACL tear, he was supposed to be a top 15 pick as it is, and he's going to be fully healthy by the year. 6'3", 195, top-end speed. He's just somebody that people thought was genuinely a top 10 player in the class, and it does fit the physical profile that the Colts look for. Pick number 21 for the Los Angeles Chargers. Could get a deep threat here in Isaiah Bond. I do love him to death, but I don't think you can just skip out. I don't think Harbaugh could resist having Colson Loveland on his squad, so we're going to exercise that option. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You could look at the edge core. I think that's a very wise selection, but I do think there is a clear top 3 tight ends in this class, and Tyler Warren is fantastic. He's 260 pounds. He is just unbelievably reliable, and he's just someone who's gotten better every single year. So very well balanced. One of the few tight ends that I genuinely believe is a first-round quality tight end. Pick number 23 for the Chicago Bears. Could go Isaiah Bond here and just say, fuck it, we're going to have the best receiving core in the NFL. But offensive line, and you could look at edge. I do think Darrell Taylor should stay, but I might be relatively alone in that opinion. You could look at Tyleik Williams to bring some run defensibility. I think the Bears defense looks great. Let's look at the offensive line here. And Tyler Booker's perfect for this. Jonah is someone who I like to target outside of the first round. I do love Tyler Booker for the most part, but we do also potentially want to get a tackle. Like, that might be worth it. And to be fair, statistically, Booker hasn't been overwhelming this year. I think he's been fine, but PFF doesn't necessarily like to grade on that consistency level. I do think offensive line is the best way to go. So Wyatt Milam actually might be the best choice here. He has been phenomenal this year. 0 pressures allowed, by the way. But I think that Wyatt Milam is going to be someone who gets a lot more love as a first-round guard. He is a left tackle, and he could, of course, fill in there, but his arm length is a little bit limited, and I think he's going to be a very high-quality guard. And he's going to be somebody that could flex a tackle if need be. I'm going to give him a little love in this one. Wyatt Milam going to be the dark horse first-round pick in this mock. Pick number 24 for the Baltimore Ravens. This is where I'm going to look at probably going after Emory Jones and see if they could fix him up at tackle, but he's going to play guard in the short run. I think that's where he belongs. I think your best option would be right now, bring Stanley back for one more year and have Emory Jones be the guard that you're looking for and develop into the tackle you want. Pick number 25 for the Bills. This is an easy one. It's Isaiah Bond. You got Amari Cooper there. You got Keon Coleman. Finish it off with Isaiah Bond. I mean, just simply put, you can't pass on a talent like that. Pick number 26 for the Washington Commanders. Edge rusher, corner. Those are the positions to go after. Corner. Not necessarily great at the moment, except for Davison Igbinosun, but I still don't know if he's necessarily I don't think he would go above some of the guys who are on the board. Mikael Williams, Mel Kiper's pretty damn confident that he's going to end up being a top 5 selection, even a top 3. So we'll trust that and just say he's pretty much a guaranteed first round. Great build. He's built to play edge rusher in the NFL. 265, long arms, and he's getting better and better, and I do love that. Pick number 27 for the Steelers. This is where I actually think you could go after a quarterback like Milroe, Shedeur Sanders, etc. Russell Wilson ended up having a very roller coaster level game, but other positions this team needs another wide receiver. If we had Isaiah Bond on the table, I think that would be an instant shoe-in. Emeka Egbuka certainly is on the table for this. Corner, not really. Igbinosun would actually be pretty damn solid, but he doesn't have the zone instincts or the off-coverage ability that I think would work very well in this system. So you got to look at the quarterbacks available here and, choose whichever one you want. I think that the Steelers have had a lot more success with, technically, we had a far better statistical game with Russ if Russ could actually make the fucking passes. And I think that actually might lean more towards Shedeur over Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe has pretty poor ball placement. He just still cannot get past that. And he's had a bad stretch. Unfortunately. These past 2 games have been really bad. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't really trust this team based on how we've been playing with Justin Fields to maximize Jalen Milroe's talent. So I actually will be going after Shedeur Sanders. Again, remember, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson both are up for contracts after this year. Pick number 28 for the Green Bay Packers. So I think just bottom line, you go after best player available and the highest ceiling available. And so I actually know that this defensive coordinator loves press man. This is where I am going to go. And it's not Jordan Hancock. It's going to be Davison Igbinosun, my number 17 player on my board. And again, that is also with plenty of guys who I do think would be slipping compared to where Davison Igbinosun is. So I do think he's probably a top 15 player. Pick number 29, we got the Houston Texans. So defensive interior, the name of the game. I know you guys have talked about guard as well being a good position to target, but this is also a class where you could kind of wait on that. Tyleik Williams, I think, is just the definition of consistency. Just take someone who's going to be really consistent and don't think about it twice. Pick number 30 for the Minnesota Vikings. Running back certainly is still in consideration here. Corner, again, kind of took the one other guy I would really like. Just, it's a pretty limited group for that most part. But, I mean, you could look potentially at a guards or at a center spot even for Bradbury. I just don't really think that those are going to be the biggest return on investment. If we do want to look at the corner position, Tacario Davis is not worth it in my opinion. Jahdae Barron just came off a really solid week versus Georgia. He allowed 70 yards, but he ended up actually having, I believe, 2 interceptions and a pass breakup, or it's a pass break, 2 pass breakups and an interception, 3 plays against the ball. So he's been doing a fantastic job overall. And you look at him, 5'11", 200, not necessarily the dream boundary corner in terms of frame, but I do think he's a fantastic corner nonetheless that does deserve at least some hype in the first round. So definitely on the table there. You could go Deone Walker here, though. I don't think that's out of the question. You can get someone who you're developing as, I mean, that's kind of crazy that his run stop rate dropped so much, but he's developing every single week. He's still super young, could end up even returning. I'm going to take a shot on this, and you guys let me know what you think. At pick number 31 for the Detroit Lions, it's edge rusher all the way. And LT Overton fits perfectly. He's a very solid pass rusher. I think that LT is a little bit overrated, and this is like proper spot for him. But, if you can slim him down a little bit more, that'd be great. I do think he fits, though, perfectly next to Aiden Hutchinson for the future. And at 32 for the Chiefs, again, with trades, this would be an easy trade up for Jalen Milroe. But regardless, for the Chiefs, you could even look at a running back to pair up with Pacheco for the long run. Wide receiver is on the table. Offensive tackle absolutely is still on the table. You could look at Jack Nelson, who's been having a really consistent year so far after a slow start. That could be the route that you do want to go. But with the pretty much almost guaranteed loss that you will have with Trey Smith, I think Tyler Booker, giving him a shot in a system that will maximize his talents, will be the best outcome. So that's going to be the video. Somehow I made it through. I'm kind of feeling it right now. So I'm going to take a break. I love you. See you on the far side. Peace.